All of this would go a lot better if the characters in books actually listened to me. Hour and 10 minutes in, I'm just ready to be done. At least I'm not dying. I'm gonna be fighting for my life tonight, so be ready to watch that. Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. This is gonna be another reading challenge, another weekend reading challenge while I'm here in Seoul, South Korea. It's not too obvious by my voice, but I have come down with some kind of a head cold, so it's gonna give me a great excuse to just stay inside and read for the entire weekend. It is a 3-day weekend. Today's Friday, so I have extra time to dedicate to this, which is very exciting for me because I barely read all week this week. So the challenge of today's video is going to be a random number generator, but kind of different because I only have 3 days to do this, and so I thought I would just make a number generator with really big numbers, and that would be the amount of numbers I would have to read this weekend. So however I want to chop that up, however many hours I want to dedicate to each, I don't know, but we're gonna start now. It is 12:15 on Friday, so getting kind of a late start, but in my defense, I needed to sleep in, and I also called my mom. So we're starting now. So yay. Okay, here is what the wheel looks like. It is in 5-hour intervals starting at 10 and then going all the way to 45. And so 45, I calculated it, and if it lands on 45, I have to read for 13 hours every day this weekend. So that is like a lot. So I'm really hoping it doesn't land on that. I'm hoping for like a middle number. So let's go ahead and spin. Oh my days. Ooh, okay. 35. Okay, that was somewhere in the middle. That is what I wanted. 35. Let me calculate that divided by 3. 35 divided by 3. About 11. About a little closer to 12. So I have to read quite a lot every day to do this, but we're still gonna do it, doggone it. But first I'm going to go to the convenience store and get myself a package of ramen because I can't keep going out like this. So I just need to go and get something that I can make myself here. And ramen just sounds like it would be good for my sore throat and stuff, so as long as it's not spicy. I'm gonna be so sad. I'm not gonna be able to eat any spicy food. And I was really craving spicy food last night too. But it's fine. I'll go ahead and run that errand, and I can take you guys along with me if you want. You want to go see a convenience store? Oh, it's so crazy. It's like never before seen convenience store footage. Like, it's gonna be so great. It didn't happen. Alright, I'm back. Here's what I found at the pharmacy. I'll figure them out in a second. She gave me some instructions, but I'm still not sure like what exactly they are, so I'll figure that out. Got my package of ramen, non-spicy, and then it's for my throat, guys. It's for my throat. Legit, like, ice cream does really help me when I have a sore throat. Anyway, alrighty, let's talk about TBR. So the book I'm currently reading is Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I'm a mere 12% through it, so first book I'm going to be finishing is this. For an audiobook, I feel like that's going to really help if my eyes don't work anymore. I'm still listening to Gone with the Wind. I was listening to it last reading vlog too. It is a very long book, so I'm still working my way through it, but that's going to be nice for getting some hours on the clock without me having to use my eyes. And then I have some other fantasy series that I would love to start because I'm not in the middle of very many, at least the ones that I want to finish. So I have things like Fireborn that I want to try. I have things like Poppy War is one I really want to read. I have been really missing reading physical books, and I was not really foreseeing that for some reason. I don't know why. I thought that the e-reader would be enough. So I didn't pack any books whatsoever. So that's quite unfortunate, but Poppy War is one that I own physically that I'm very sad that I didn't bring. So I might read that one, and I might stick to kind of like shorter books because I want to actually like get through some books in this challenge. Shadow in the Ember is like really long. It's like 800 pages or something. 700. 650. That was an exaggeration. I'm sorry. But that's pretty long, and I don't really want to stick to stuff that long for this challenge. I also have some thrillers that I would like to get into, so just things like that. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll be kind of mood reading my way through it because that's what's gonna keep me alive. That's what's gonna keep me motivated, honestly. Knowing that I can choose what books I want to read. So stay tuned if you want to see what books I actually end up reading, but this is definitely gonna be one of them. Alright, I'm gonna go make some ramen while listening to Gone with the Wind, so let's start. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and settle in with my actual eye reading. Listened to 35 minutes worth of Gone with the Wind. I'm gonna be snacking on these grapes. Fun fact, pretty much every food in Korea is very affordable except for fruit. This single bunch of grapes cost $5.50 in US dollars, so that's really great. It's sad for a fruit lover like me. Alright, let's go ahead and settle in. Wow, I had no idea that grapes were natural cough drops. That's a little hack for you, I guess. At least these kinds of grapes, they really soothe my throat. That was unexpected and very nice. An hour and 10 minutes in to the 35 hours. Does this timer even go that high? I think yeah, it does. But I'm liking this book so far. I really am. If you do not know, it is the prequel series to the Blood and Ash series, which is a really famous kind of like 2010s romantasy. And this one is so good because it's kind of following like something that happened centuries before Blood and Ash, and it's kind of almost a legend in Blood and Ash. And so it's cool to actually see it play out how it did. And there's this princess from however long ago, like centuries ago, who was princess during the time of this terrible rot that was taking over the land, kind of like a plague, but it also infected the land, so it's like a rot. It was prophesied that the only thing that would cure the rot is if the primal died, and the primal is like something that is a god but a lot more powerful, so kind of like a titan, kind of I thought of like an older god. I don't know, that's kind of the equivalent. And then sorry if I get any of these details wrong, but something about the prophecy said that the only way that he could die is if he fell in love, and then if the person who he fell in love with killed him, I don't know, something like that. Terribly romantic and sad. And this girl, the main character, is prophesied to be the one that he will fall in love with. His consort is what it's called. But when he comes to collect his consort, because he doesn't know that she's supposed to kill him, he just knows that he wants a consort and he picked her or something. When he came to collect her, he said, no, actually I don't want you. And that definitely kind of plunged the land into panic because she was supposed to be their savior. And so that was definitely a very interesting beginning. That all happened in the prologue. So this main character, Seraphina, has been training to basically be an assassin to kill the primal. But since that didn't happen, she doesn't really know what she's doing anymore. And that's when she kind of like meets this mysterious god. And I don't know yet, but I think it's pretty obvious who this god is. They kind of start being a little romantic, and I'm kind of excited because I think it will be a story of like her and the primal falling in love and that whole thing. That sounds really good. Like that's a good setup to a story. Something that's kind of like tragic and like it's just gonna be a good emotional conflict, I feel like. So I'm enjoying it. I'm just trying to fight off the sleepiness because every time I'm sick I get really sleepy, which is understandable. So I'm gonna read for a bit longer. Maybe I'll take a nap at some point, but I definitely want to keep on reading because this is very interesting.
A few moments later.
Right now I'm at 20%. I'm at an hour and a half of the way through the 35 hours. So not even close to being done, but I'm just gonna chill, maybe fall asleep at some point because I need rest, but every time I'm awake, I'm going to be reading. Trust me. And 43 minutes in. I'm officially 50% through this book. I'm definitely reading slower, which I'm totally fine with. My brain is not active enough for me to read as fast as I normally do, but I'm still really enjoying it. Sometimes reading slower is more fun because you get to actually appreciate the writing and the way that sentences are formed, whereas if you're reading fast, it's just kind of like getting the gist of what happened, but you're not actually appreciating the actual writing. So sometimes reading slower is nice. I've been enjoying it. I'm gonna keep on reading tonight, maybe for a couple more hours, maybe three more hours, and then I'll go to sleep for the night. I have a lot of reading ahead of me tomorrow. I'll let you guys know how much farther I get in this. There's a couple more thoughts that I have about the book that I want to talk about before turning in for the night. I'm really liking it. It's just kind of weird how similar the romance is to the Blood and Ash series. Not like the story of their romance, more just like the dynamic of the couple is very similar to Blood and Ash, and so I'm kind of like, what's the difference? At least with the romance aspect. I do really like all the other aspects that are different about it, and clearly there is supposed to be some parallels drawn between Seraphina and Penelope, but it's still like exactly the same, like almost. And so I'm kind of like, oh, this is interesting, a little bit disappointing. Like I kind of wanted to see a different side, a different kind of romance that this author could write about, but obviously these are only 2 series I've read from her, but I'm like, can she write any other dynamics? I kind of want to see that. The man is pretty similar and the girl is pretty similar. Like I said, I feel like that is maybe intentional, but it's to the point where it just feels like the same thing, you know? So I still liked that about Blood and Ash, so I'm not like upset about it. It's just kind of like, oh, kind of want something different. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Morning, guys. Let's ignore the elephant in the room for a second. I'm very vulnerable right now. Wow, I sound like a frog. Anyway, I read quite a lot yesterday. I'm at 80% now, and it's really, like, stuff is really going down, and it's very exciting. But I knew I had to stop reading because sleep is important. But weirdly enough, my body did not want to sleep in today, so I think I'll just get up now and take a nap later. But let's look at the clock. Alright, I'm almost at 9 hours, so I have 26 left. Yeah, 26, so about 13 hours per day. I can do it. I am very surprised by how my attention span is holding up. Like, I had no problem reading for hours and hours and hours yesterday, like no problem. I think part of it has to do with slower reading. Like, sometimes if I read fast, my brain kind of gets overloaded with information and I'm not like actually taking it in. And if I read slow, it's more just like digesting the story at a more natural rate. So I just need to force myself to slow down sometimes, I think. This has taught me a lot. This challenge has taught me a lot. But especially if I'm going to be reading for 13 hours today, I really need to just take a chill pill and just enjoy the story. And we're almost done with this one. I'm very excited because I'm definitely in a fantasy mood, so I definitely want to do a fantasy after this. Let's see if we can find a little bit of a shorter one so we can get more books down this video. But there are a lot that I really want to read, so I am pretty excited for the prospects. All right, let's go ahead and start again. Okay, but this is so painful though. This isn't like a miscommunication thing that's happening. It's just like it would solve the problem if they communicated. You know, if only they would listen to me. They can't hear me through the pages, but I keep telling them to communicate. All of this would go a lot better if the characters in books actually listened to me, but that never happens. So we're just forced to deal with these conflicts. That's just the way of it. Goosebumps. Oh my gosh. That is epic. That's so cool. Oh, I knew it. Oh, that's awesome. This is a good book. I was very hooked. Let's stop the timer. 11 hours and 22 minutes. Wow, I really liked that. It's kind of hard to think of a rating because I don't think it was like close to a 5-star. I feel like with Jennifer L. Armentrout, I feel like her stuff, it's hard to reach greatness for me, you know? It's just like good. It's like good writing, good world building, usually a good romance. Characters are okay, but I feel like there is supposed to be like shock factor. Like there's supposed to be things that catch me off guard and it never does. Like there's a lot of predictability in her plots and reveals and stuff like that. There are a lot of reveals in this and I saw pretty much all of them coming, but they're still cool though. They're still cool reveals. Like just because I didn't see it coming doesn't mean it's not cool. So I really like it. So it's probably like a 4-star. And that's the same rating I gave, I think, the third Blood and Ash book. So it's definitely getting better. Like my enjoyment and the quality I think is getting better. The next book I'm probably gonna read is, I kind of want to try out Fireborn. There's like a tiny bit of dragon stuff in this book and it made me want to read a dragon book. I've heard Firewing being compared to Fourth Wing or Fireborn, and I hope it's better because I wasn't like a huge fan of Fourth Wing. I think the hype probably killed it for me. Like I thought it would be amazing and it was only like a 4 or 3.5 star, and so I was like, oh dang it. But I kind of want to try out Fireborn because I do love dragons. Dragons were definitely my favorite part of Fourth Wing. So I'm probably gonna do that. Let's check how many pages it is. It is 448 pages. That's not bad. So I'll probably finish that in like, I don't know, 6 hours or 7 hours or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I'll let you guys know once I know what it's about because dragons is all I know about it. Alright, so I got 10% through this and now I'm pretty sure I know what it's about. Like plot wise I'm not really sure yet, but we're set in a world that about like a decade ago was very like a feudal system, like from old Europe, because they even have the same names, like there's serfs and there's patricians and stuff, and then on the top are dragon lords and they're the only ones that can ride dragons and stuff. But about a decade ago there was a revolution that kind of overthrew that feudal system, and now it's kind of like a meritocracy, kind of like you have, in order to rank highly in society you have to like test well in these tests and stuff. And our main character was actually a son of a dragon lord. He was young when all of that was overthrown, but nowadays even serfs can ride dragons and like everyone can ride dragons. They just have to do well on the test and they have to like complete this kind of competition thing to rank highly, and that's what's happening right now. There's like a big competition going on and the main character is named Lee, and then there's a girl named Annie, and are the two main characters, and it's dual POV. Lee is, like I said, from a dragonborn background, but now he was kind of raised in an orphanage, so he wasn't raised like royalty. And then Annie, she's a serf. She is from the lowest level of society, but both her and Lee met in the same orphanage, and so they're like friends, like childhood friends, and they're both super good at dragon riding. So that's what's happening right now. They were both kind of like completing the test to rank highly. So it seems really interesting so far. I know a lot about the world already because the author really doesn't waste time in telling you like the whole situation. So that's kind of nice. And it didn't feel like info dumping. Like, it was pretty easy to understand, especially because it's like a pretty classic structure, and also it was real in history, so I have something to base it off of. So it's not that difficult to understand. But anyway, right now I'm really getting really tired. So I think I'm gonna take a nap because in order for me to heal up, I really need to sleep. So I'm gonna nap, but then as soon as I wake up, I'm gonna dive right back in. Alright, so I'm officially a third of the way through this book, and I thought, I'm kind of meh about it. I'm almost at 14 hours. Yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of meh about it because there's a lot of character work, which is always a good thing, but only when it's like progressing with the plot. I feel like in books like this, I feel like it is still important for the plot to be progressing, and I feel like there's just too much of like explaining characters' backstories and kind of like drama. It almost feels like high school drama, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't touch him this way, oh, but what if he thinks of me this way, oh, but she's so great, I hope her opinion of me isn't bad, like stuff like that I'm just like, I wish there was like more adult things going on. I think it's because it's YA, I don't know, but it just feels like everything that's happening is very young. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of They're definitely very interesting character conflicts. Like, all the stuff that's happening with them are interesting. I just wish it was also progressing the plot in some kind of way and it wasn't just for the sake of drama. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it's feeling right now, and I'm hoping it gets better. I think it will, because now like another test is gonna happen, so I hope that kind of makes things more interesting. But it just seems very normal. Like, I've read this kind of thing before. And also the dragon stuff is a little bit disappointing. I feel like the dragons are barely mentioned. They're basically just there because they could be replaced with just like machines and it wouldn't change anything. Like, I really like when the dragons have a personality and there's a lot about like the relationship between the writer and the dragon that makes up the story, and there isn't any of that. Like, I have so many questions about the dragons that no one is answering. I'm like, are they mind controlled by the writers? Do they have a personality of their own? Are they like mentally communicating? It seems like they're mentally communicating, but then there's like no conversations happening, and so I'm like, what's happening? I also had similar problems with Fourth Wing. Like, the dragon stuff that was happening wasn't like the kind of dragon stuff I wanted to happen. I don't know. There was definitely more than this. Strangely, I know this is weird, but the best dragon book I've read is Throne of Glass. And those were even dragons. So that's kind of funny. But it was so great. Like, some people, the dragon stuff starts to happen in the third book, and a lot of people said that they weren't interested in that plot line. I was more interested in that plot line than the other stuff that was going on, I'll be honest. Like, I would sometimes skip the other chapters to read the dragon chapter because that's so cool, is it not? It was so cool to me, and I've been like chasing stuff like that ever since, and I haven't got it. Maybe it's the school setting. I kind of wish it wasn't a school setting because that makes it feel so protected and safe or something, and I kind of wish it was a little more wild, like How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, I don't know. If you guys have any recommendations for books that are actually like that, make sure to tell me, because that's the kind of dragon stuff that really intrigued me. And so far it seems like just mostly people write about dragon schools, like dragon riding schools and stuff, which is all fine and dandy if it's interesting, but this isn't super interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on reading, but yeah, a little bit disappointing. Alrighty, just had dinner. I'm completely at the mercy of this medicine that the pharmacy lady gave me. Those packets, what's inside them is the exact color and appearance of soy sauce, and that really took me off guard. And I was like, oh no, is it gonna taste like soy sauce? No, it doesn't, but I wish it did, because it's the grossest thing I've ever tasted. But I still drink it because I do think it is helping. Like, I was struggling before. I was really filming because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so sick. But then I drank this and I feel better now, so maybe it's worth the absolutely horrendous taste. But now I feel more energized because I do have a good amount of time left. I'm almost at 15 hours, so 7 more to reach my goal. That is so much. I'm gonna be reading into the night, but at least I have my snacks and my ice cream, and I'm not feeling like I'm gonna die right now. So, yay! At least I'm not dying. This book, I'm still feeling the same way. I'm definitely disappointed by it. It just feels like someone wrote it just for the sake of writing it. Like, it doesn't seem like it was made to be published. It's like, if I wrote this, I would be really proud of it and be like, oh, this is a nice story that I can share with my friends or something, or post online. But to publish it, I'm just like, it's too similar to too many other books, and it's not like, there's no wow factor. There's nothing amazing about it. And it's pretty predictable. So far, everything has been predictable. Maybe something will catch me off guard. I hope it does. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna hold off on continuing the series if it does stay this way. I am only still like 40% through, so we'll see if it gets better. But that's the trajectory we're on. This is genuinely disappointing. I'm 55% of the way through, so I definitely gave it a fair shot, but I'm just not interested enough in this book to keep on reading it, like binge read it, you know, back to back. Like, it's just, it doesn't feel real. It just feels like so childish. I don't know. I think part of it is also like something intense just happened. Something like action-packed just happened. It was not action-packed. But when you realize like the entire army is made up of teenagers, you're just like, it's just not believable. It just doesn't feel real. That's kind of what I mean by it's kind of crazy that this is like a published work. It doesn't feel like a published work. It feels like a passion project or like something made for fun. Maybe it does get good, but for a challenge like this, I just don't want to keep on reading it. I'm gonna fall asleep. It's 7:50, so we're entering the nighttime hours now, and I just need something more interesting. And I feel so vulnerable going into a new series because there's a high chance that it could be like this, and then you'll have wasted hours just trying to read a bad book. That's happened a lot of times, and it's very scary. I just really want the same feeling as all the other books that I have loved, but I don't know which books are gonna give me that feeling, so it feels very scary. But I think I'm gonna finally try out the first book in the, what's it called? In the Shadowhunters universe. I've never read anything from the Shadowhunters universe, and I feel like I'm gonna like it. It's a YA universe. I really like YAs when they're not childish. So I think I'm gonna try it out. It's kind of long. It's over 500 pages. Let me double check. Yeah, it's 512 pages. So I'm not gonna finish it tonight, but it might at least intrigue me enough to not make me want to fall asleep. Yeah, I feel like the other book that I was reading, The Shadow and the Ember, was just so interesting. I didn't want to put it down. That's part of why I felt like it was so easy for me to just read it for hours and hours on end. Like, I was enjoying it because it was good. Where at night I was like, I could genuinely read this all in one sitting, but I should go to bed. It was like 2 a.m. or something before I stopped reading. So I really want that feeling. I love that feeling. Yeah, the first book in the Shadowhunters series is City of Bones, and that is 512 pages. So I'm going to try it out. I dare say, let's put Fireborn on the back burner for now. I might finish it later when I'm not in challenge. And when that happens, I'll finally let you guys know what it really is like till the end. Because I don't like DNFing books because a lot of what makes a book good is the ending. And so it's hard for me to DNF it because what if the ending is good? But at this point, I'm just like, I don't really have any qualms with DNFing it, quite honestly. So let's go ahead and start on this book. I'm very excited. This is a big universe that I'm stepping into. So who knows what's gonna happen. I hope it goes well. Fingers crossed. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm 17% through. This is definitely what I was looking for. It's pretty hooking from the start. It's the beginning of an epic series. Like, I'm really happy about this. I'm just ready to be done. That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at currently. I'm at 17 hours and 45 minutes, so we're getting closer. Just not where I wish we were. But this book is interesting so far. If somehow you're like me and don't know anything about the series, well, it's like an urban fantasy, I guess, where there's like a parallel fantasy world with our world, and most of the time the other creatures are invisible, but to our main character, she can see them, and that's what makes her special at the beginning, I guess. But her name's Clary, and she finds out that she can see these things when something happens at the beginning of the book. She sees Shadowhunters and a demon, and she's like, what are you guys doing? thing, and they're like, you can see us, and she's like, yeah, and they're like, that's not normal, you're not normal, and one thing leads to another, and she's like becoming one of them, you know, so, you know, stuff like that. It's my understanding of what's going on right now. I like tropes like this. I don't know what it's called, but like kind of like Percy Jackson, where there's something special about them and there's another world that they didn't know about, and suddenly something inciting happens where the main character has to realize their role and their specialness, and they go into that world and totally dominate. I mean, I don't know if she's gonna dominate, but I'm guessing she will. And the whole thing is about like shadow hunters who like fight demons and stuff. They like hunt down demons and kill them. There's also other kinds of creatures that also help them fight demons. So there's like fairies and others that I forget, but you get the gist, like other fantastical beings that also exist that are good, but then there are a bunch that are bad and they are always fighting. Isn't this a great summary? Can you tell my brain is completely working? It's not even late, it's 9. 9. I have to read for like 3 more hours at least. I can do this. At least this book is more interesting. My eyes are failing, like they're so blurry right now. And I can't like drink an energy drink or something because that's stupid. I'm going to sleep in like 3 hours. It's fine. I can do this. I'm also running out of snacks. This isn't good. Tomorrow I need to do another snack run. I really hope I feel better by tomorrow. I want to feel better tomorrow, so I can actually crush this challenge instead of just squeaking by pitifully. But anyway, I guess I'll just buckle down and keep reading. Okay, this is super not important, but I just realized something hilarious. All the books I've read recently have a redhead main character. This has a redhead main character. The Fireborn had a redhead main character, and then Blood and Ash has a redhead main character. I'm sensing a trend here. Officially halfway through the book and officially past 20 hours. Yay. I'm gonna try to read for at least like 45 more minutes. I'm gonna try my best. I promise I'll read as much as I can. Okay, so good morning. While I was making breakfast, I listened to the last of Gone with the Wind. And it's the first time I have finished a classic and really been like, why? Like, what was the point of this book? I don't understand. What was the moral? What was the inspiration behind it? And honestly, the only thing I can come up with is just like, it's a love story to the South. It's like a love letter. It's like truly a story in loving the South, but in that it's also romanticizing big time like slavery and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't understand. Like, I thought it would be a lot more of like, honestly, a romance. I thought it would be like a love story like between people, but really it's a love story between this girl and the South. That is it. And it was so wild because nearing the end I was like, this is how it's ending? Really? This is how it's ending? Are you kidding me? I felt so cheated. With classics, I never know if I'm allowed to spoil them because they've been around for hundreds. This one has been around for at least 100 years. I don't know exactly how long, but it ends and the couple isn't together. And I'm like, what was the point of that? It literally took so long for them to get together, and then it ends with them not together. I'm like, what? And so it's very interesting. Yeah, and literally the only thing I can think of is like this book was inspired by the author's love for the South, and that's what inspired her to write it. But it really just struck me as such a tragedy. Like, when it comes to everything else, when it comes to relationships and people and things like that, it just was tragic. A lot of that was because of the war, but a lot of that is also just because of some of the characters' mistakes and all that stuff. It just felt like a tragedy. And usually tragedies have some kind of like lesson or moral or something, and this one I'm just like, what is the lesson? What is the moral? If you're a good person, you'll still end up in not a great situation. So I'm just like, what? Yeah, I really am baffled. I don't really know why. Like, that's why I was asking that question. Why is this so acclaimed? Why is this so beloved? Especially in a world where racism is disappearing. I'm like, why is this a loved book? I thought that it would like kind of be making fun of people back then a little bit, like criticizing, a little bit of a critique of people back then that kept slaves. But it really wasn't. The amazing people that were in this book also believed in slavery. And so I'm like, there's there's no one that believes that slaves deserve to be free and stuff. There's no one. Are you kidding me? Like, the only people that do think that slaves deserve to be free are the bad guys. And I'm like, so confused. I guess it just didn't age well. Maybe that's it. Maybe just me being a 21st century born and raised person don't understand it. I'm just like, I don't like that. But it's an accomplishment because it's a long freaking book and now I can say I've read it. That's good. And I have established I've met my quota for summer. I read my summer classic. And in the fall, I'll hopefully read something that has a little bit better of a moral, like Frankenstein or something. That's what I'm thinking of right now for fall. And then in winter, I'm thinking I'm gonna go a little crazy. I'm thinking of Les Mis in the winter. That's a little spoiler, but that's another really long one. But when I listen to an audiobook, I can just take it in like little chunks and it's so much easier. But anyway, yeah, that was an experience. But from now on, I'm just gonna be reading from my Kindle. I don't have another audiobook, so I'm gonna try my best. Oh, why? This is my least favorite trope, like my least favorite ever in the whole entire world. Why is it in this book? Ah! Oh, I feel like there's bugs crawling on me. This is so gross. Oh my. Well, if you've read this book, you probably know what I just discovered. Oh, it's just so gross. I'm almost done with it. I'm going to finish it, but oh, that's so nasty. Alrighty, I am now finished with City of Bones. Kind of crazy, starting off a super long series. This is the timer. We're at 24 hours. If it was a 24-hour readathon, we'd be done, but it's not, and we're not done, so. Why is the frame rate? I don't know why the frame rate. The lighting is fine. Why is the frame rate weird? My thoughts, I mean, I did really like it, so it's probably like a 3.5 star. I just feel like at this point in the series, it is pretty juvenile. And there's some things about the world building that I'm like, that is a little bit strange, that like, why would an adult make that choice kind of thing. I guess not world building, more just like the history or like the reasons behind some things. I'm like, huh? You know, it doesn't make total sense. But I feel like it's a good start for it. I know that it gets a lot better, especially with the other series in the universe. So I'm like especially excited about The Last Hours and The Infernal Devices. Like, I'm very excited about that, but I have to start with Mortal Instruments. Yeah, but it was good. There was that one trope that totally grossed me out, but it kind of got a little bit better, I guess. I guess none of the characters really stood out to me a whole lot, and that's part of why I'm only thinking of giving it a 3.5. It just feels very like the beginning. Like, I don't really care a whole lot yet. We'll see. We'll see what it becomes. This is making me, honestly, like, having that and then also Fireborn makes me appreciate The Shadow and the Emperor so much more. I'm like, I think maybe I should upgrade the rating to a 4.5 because I keep thinking about it and being like, that was really good. That's like what I want in a fantasy. I think I'm gonna upgrade that rating to a 4.5. Fireborn is just like, I'm trying to debate on if I want to finish that. It's so weird. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, why are there some things that I like and some things that I really don't? The greater world building, it is very interesting to have something like the whole concept of a feudal system, and I feel like the author really thoroughly thought out like what kinds of marks that would leave on society and the kinds of prejudices that would create in the future and the kind of policies that would turn sour and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that part was just very realistic, like really well thought out. But then everything that had to do with the dragons in the school and stuff, I was like, this is so odd. Because when you think about it, that government is only like 10 years old and this is their first batch of dragon riders that they are sending out, and they're the only form of defense. Like, the only thing that is standing between this kingdom and total ruin is this squad of teenagers that are pubescent and can't decide if they're attracted to each other or how to confess their feelings and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, no one's worried. No one's worried about that. Like, no one has talked about it. It's just me realizing, like, wow, they're the only line of defense, huh? And also the way that like the system works, I'm kind of surprised that everyone is so chill about it. It doesn't feel like this is the first time it's happened. Like, everyone's like, okay, yeah, and then they're gonna go on to this next level, and then the people who win, blah, blah, blah. Like, it feels very, like, run-of-the-mill. Like, it's a very established system that has no flaws in it, even though this is probably the first time that it's happening. So that part is a little bit weird, too. So there are just some things that I was like, huh, it's interesting that some things can be so well thought out and other things not at all. So that part just made it feel so childish. So I don't think for now, I'm going to go and finish that because I do not have a lot of faith it's gonna get better. But I'll find something else to read because we still have 11 hours, almost 10. We're almost at the point where it's only 10. But we have a lot of time left. I think I'll be able to finish another book depending on how long it'll be. I'm gonna go investigate what there is. Alright, I think I found the book I want to try. It's The Wrath in the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I really don't know how to pronounce that. Renee something. It seems like it's kind of like a forced marriage type situation in a fantasy world, so that's kind of similar to Shadow in the Ember. I'm literally just looking for something like Shadow in the Ember. And the best part is it's only 416 pages, so I think I'll be able to finish it, which would be fantastic. But yeah, it looks interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and try it out. The forced marriage thing is pretty much the only thing I know about it, so I'm gonna see what else there is about it and I'll let you guys know. Alright, I made it 25% of the way through Wrath in the Dawn. I feel like it's going super fast. That 100 pages felt like nothing. I'm almost at 26 hours. And this story is a retelling. I didn't know this, but it's a retelling of the tale 1001 Nights. And I know that tale because of one of my favorite fantasy books is based off that tale, and it's so good. It's called A Word So Fitly Spoken, and I've talked about it on this channel a lot, so if you watched my other videos, you probably heard me talk about it. But the fairy tale is basically like this king has commanded that every morning he's going to take a new bride and then kill her, and then take a new bride and kill her like every day, like doing that until there's one girl left, and she was smart enough to tell him a story right before she had to die, and he was so interested in the story and she didn't get to finish it, and so he was like, oh no, I don't want to kill her, I want to hear the end of the story. And so she was alive for another day, and then every day she would continue telling the story and then always leave it off at a cliffhanger so that he didn't want to kill her. So that's from, I think it's Arabian folklore if I'm not mistaken, and this book is also based off like Arabia, like it's a fantasy world set in something like that, and I'm really liking it. Again, it like feels like it's gone by so quickly, and part of it is because it's like not a lot has happened, honestly. We've just like established the main character and her scheme to tell a story and stuff, and by using that kind of making the king not want to kill her and stuff. I'm still interested to find out why the king is doing this, because I know in the other fantasy book that I read there's like a whole backstory to why he's doing it, and then he kind of like becomes a better person or something, and so I'm kind of intrigued to see how he becomes a better person or what kind of explanation there is to why he's been killing these girls. So yeah, I really don't know a whole lot about it other than that it's based off of that fairy tale, but it's going by super quickly. I might even have some time to spare at the end once I'm done with it, so I don't know what I'll read after that. I was kind of thinking this would be the last book, but we'll see. Okay, I've been trying to avoid this, but I think I have to do another trip to the convenience store because I ran out of ice cream. I'm just kidding, that's not the only reason, but I also need more snacks and just more food in general. If I'm gonna be holed up here, I need more sustenance, and I think I'm going to get myself a spicy ramen. I'm gonna indulge, I think. I want to clear my sinuses. That's the big reason. And my throat isn't hurting as bad, and I don't think spicy food will like be so terrible. There's still stuff, but it's like not as bad as it was, so I kind of wanna indulge. That is the plan. And maybe even an energy drink, because I might have to stay up tonight to finish the challenge, because I kept getting in texting conversations with my family back home. It's almost 5 and we have 9 hours left, so how much is that? Oof. Yeah, I'd have to like stay up till 2 or something. This is what happens when I run out of audiobook to listen to, because normally I would just turn on the audiobook when I go to the convenience store, and that would keep my time going, but I can't do that anymore, so I'm gonna have to get an energy drink. So yeah, anyway, that's the plan. I'm gonna go do that.
A few moments later.
I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is the spicy ramen cleared my sinuses, at least for a few minutes. The bad news is I forgot to get an energy drink. I don't know why, I just forgot. I got everything else except that. But I'm gonna be fighting for my life tonight, so be ready to watch that. Super entertaining. I'm almost halfway through, by the way. I'm surprised at how quickly the romance is moving, I must say. I was kind of expecting that because of the concept, the whole dynamic of the couple. I thought it would take quite a while and it'd be very slow burn, but it's not really. I don't know, I'm a little bit confused. But there's plenty of time for a ton of third act break. It's not even third act yet, but there's time for plenty of breakup to happen in the meantime, so I'm not concerned. How was that your reaction? What the heck? I'm 80% of the way through, so I'm almost done, but I really like this main character. I really do. Sometimes she like makes conclusions. She draws conclusions that I'm like, why is that the conclusion that you're making? Like, I feel like this other thing is so obvious. Also, the romance, I definitely spoke too soon. It is definitely a slow burn. They just have hints along the way, and I like it. I like it. I am into it. Oh, that's such a good line. there. 5 hours left, really close to being done with this book. This is terrible. That was... I did not need that. 30 hours, 13 minutes. I'm so sad. I really want to read the next one. Well, I have about 5 hours left of reading. That is so insane. It's 9:17, so pretty much exactly at 1, I think, is when it'll end. No, wait, is that 2? Really? Pretty much exactly at 2? Oh well. Okay, better find something to read quick. We could finish Fireborn. That is always on the table, just so I have a finished book. But I don't want to. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. I'm going to read The Rose and the Dagger. You cannot stop me. That was really good. I want to keep on reading this story, okay? So that's the second book in this series. It's on the short side. Wait, 432 pages, so that's also on the shorter side. I'm definitely not finishing it tonight, but, you know, whatever. I want to read it, okay? Don't judge me. Okay, I'm halfway through the book and we're officially an hour and 45 minutes out from the end. I can do this. I can taste the victory. It's so close. My thoughts on the book so far, I am enjoying it. I'm trying to figure out what to say without spoiling anything. It's a bit emotional, kind of sad. And we're definitely leading more into the fantasy aspect of this world in this book. I would say it's very light fantasy, especially in the first book, because there's only like brief mentions of magic, brief allusions to magic and stuff. And this one, it's a lot more explored, which I was looking for, because it's only a duology. You only have 2 books to describe an entire world, so hopefully in the next book there's more explanation for everything. So there's definitely been a lot of that. But yeah, I definitely feel... Wow, there's a lot of yelling outside. I hope you can't hear that. I definitely feel the emotions that the author is trying to get me to feel. Let's put it that way. Yeah, just an hour and 45 minutes more. Let's see how much farther I can get. I'm guessing probably like 60%. 75% would be a lot. I kind of doubt I'm gonna get there, but we'll see. Thank you. 35 hours read this weekend. And I managed to get 76% through this book, so that is pretty good. Thank you. Better than I thought. A lot is happening in the book right now, but I have to put it down because it is in fact 2:10 a.m. right now, and I have school tomorrow. The things I do for you guys. I am going to film my wrap-up tomorrow, so future Sydney will take it from here. Alrighty guys, I'm back and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. So the first book that we read was Shadow in the Ember. I started on page 84 and the total number of pages was 650, so whatever 84 subtracted from 650 is, we read that many pages. I gave that book 4.5 because it was just really good. That is pretty much like exactly what I'm looking for in a romance, or in a fantasy, I mean. I don't know why I said romance, but romance too. The romance also was really good. I feel like it had equal parts character work, plot, world building, romance, like all those things I feel like work together just really well. And I think maybe the other books in the series have 5-star potential. That's definitely a thing. I think probably the only reason it's not a 5-star is because of all the spice, probably. Like I'm not a spice fan. I'm very much like a no spice girly, but I like to read books like this because unfortunately they're the kind of fantasies that I like the best, like I'm saying. So for me it's worth it to have to skim a bunch of pages and chapters and stuff, but it's hard to give a book like that a perfect rating. So anyway, moving on. Next book was Fireborn, and I soft DNF'd that one. I'm probably gonna actually continue it now, but I read 55%, which was 246 pages. Yeah, I already talked about my problems with that, so I don't really have to go over it again. My problems aren't big enough for me to just never pick it up again, so I'm gonna finish it, but didn't want to read it for the challenge. Okay, next book was City of Bones, and that was 512 pages. I rated it a 3.5 star. Yeah, good beginning, not anything too crazy or amazing. I'm guessing the crazy amazing stuff is gonna come later when I'm more invested in the characters and the world and stuff stuff like that. But yeah, for our first book, it was just like, yeah, it was good. And I feel like a lot of series that become my favorite have a first book that's like that, so I'm definitely going to continue the series, give it a chance. And then the next book was Wrath in the Dawn, which is probably my favorite book that I read for the readathon. That was 416 pages, gave it a 4.5 stars. It was really good. I feel like it is perfect for romance fans that don't want to get into fantasy, because the fantasy, like I said, is super light, and there isn't like any paragraphs where they go into a ton of exposition or world building. Like, it's very light. And I love the dynamic of like the forced marriage, the 1001 Nights retelling and stuff. I feel like was done really well. My favorite 1001 Nights retelling is still Words of Fitly Spoken, but these are very different takes on it. Words of Fitly Spoken was definitely higher fantasy. It was a really original. That's probably why I like that one better. It's just like very original. But I was like, the romance had me by the throat this book. Oh my word, it was so amazing. I root so hard for the couple. Like, I haven't felt this way in a little bit. So, oh man, yeah, I root so hard for the couple. Anyway, and then I read a portion of Rose and Dagger, which is the sequel. I read 328 pages of that, and I actually just finished that today. And that one is probably a 4-star for me. Didn't like it as much as the first book, but still really good, really solid. Did not drop the ball in terms of the hype that the first book gave. The ending is really sweet. I feel like it didn't drag on for too long. I think sometimes books fall into that trap. And there was definitely more fantasy elements in the sequel. So that is a thing.
Hey guys, editor Sydney popping in here because I forgot to mention Gone with the Wind. My bad, but I'll go ahead and put that right here. I obviously put a lot of my thoughts in this video already, but I'm not giving it a rating, mainly because I don't usually rate classics. But you heard all my little back and forth thoughts on it. It's kind of hard to come to a conclusion about this book because it is a classic, it is a piece of history, it is very valuable to have, and I'm glad that it exists. But the rhetoric and the kind of ideology that it talks about makes me uncomfortable, quite honestly. But I'm glad that I read it, and I'm glad that it has enriched my brain in the way that it has. I like acknowledging that other viewpoints exist, even if I strongly disagree with them. If they're a part of history, they're a part of history. If they happen, they happen. So it's good to acknowledge that. And I mean, it was well written. What else should I say? But just want to hop in here and say that, yeah, sorry I forgot about that, but there you go.
So yeah, those were all the books that I read in these 35 hours. I still can't believe I did it. I can't believe it. Anyway, I'm so glad you guys watched to the end. Please make sure to subscribe and like this video. It really helps show me your support and show me that you like this kind of thing when I make it. I put a lot of work into every video, and so I really appreciate the love. Thank you so much. If you want to see any more from me, make sure to subscribe so that you get notified. And I'll see you guys next time I post. Bye y'all!